G'day mates, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be your ultimate guide on how to play endgame right now in Chapter 2 Season 4. You guys have been asking me when to use shockwaves, when to use crash pads, when should I go for height, should I be going low ground, all that kind of stuff. And instead of taking a bunch of different games and putting them together, this endgame from Chap and Jamper is so insanely good. I want to let it play out and I want to break down everything they do and why they do it, as I think that'll help you a little bit more. So if you like this today's style of video, guys, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below, because I can do way more of these in the future. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me so much, and I hope you enjoy this video. So this endgame is from the War Legends tournament that took place recently on NA East, and as you can see, it's insanely stacked. It's 43 alive. It's now first rotating zone. Strep has gone down, so this is a duo right now, but they play this so insanely well. I wanted to break it down pretty much from start to finish, so I'm not going to do any editing. I just want to go through their thought process. So right now, they have a good layer here. They're starting to take the builds around the fight to make sure no team can push up randomly into them. They've dropped the pepper down here, so they want to make sure they get these going because they've already got full inventory on both of them. But if you've got peppers left over, as you can see now, you definitely want to split them, use them before you rotate. Now, zone's about to start coming in, so they go for their typical bounce pad shockwave rotate. I've made whole videos on this. If you want to check them out, go to my channel. And now they use the bounce pad and the shockwave combined to make sure they get to ultimate low front side. And that's why this game is so good. It's how they play ultimate low. So they jump onto the floor, they take a layer on the floor, but they realize that it's starting to go up above this hill. So all Chap does is start to tarp and build to get them above that floor layer, and then they stay low ground again. So right now, no team can go underneath them because they've now tarped onto them. So they are currently ultra low. No one can be beneath them, and this whole rotate is only taking them a stair, a floor, and a wall. Now, this is a strategy that you see Chap use a lot. You set up the stair, and then you throw a crash pad on the stair so it breaks out the team from above. It's a really, really good way to pick up easy eliminations on low ground. Unfortunately, no one was there, but if you're trying to set this up for your team, make sure you designate who's going to pop the crash pad so the person who falls down doesn't fall on the crash pad. So they don't get an elimination here, but now they have more control and they've pushed this team away. See how that team now has to push back? Jamper overtakes, starts building the front ground layer, and this is where they drop to ultimate low. So they recognize the fact that they can jump down here and take all this space without having to use any builds. So they jump down now. Zone hasn't shown itself. They have about 3 seconds till zone shows, and with that time, Chap pushes across and starts claiming this real estate. So he starts taking these builds. Unfortunately, they don't get zone, but all that took him was 5 or 6 builds, and if zone had gone that way, it would have meant that no one could drop down on top of them. But zone pulls back, so they use the fact they have the peppers popped. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and this is what I really want to teach you guys how to play ultimate low. They go up a layer because they start to push forward, but there's a team already here. There's a team that has low ground control, which means that they are closer to the next zone than you are. So if you want to stay ultra low, you're going to have to go through them, which is never a good idea. So what you do in this situation is you go over them, only go 1 or 2 layers above them, go in front of them, and then jump back down onto low ground when you need it. Now, you'll notice here that even though Chap is in front of them, he's not going ultra low, which means he's not jumping onto the ground layer. That's because he's identified that this zone is still going up the hill, and if he drops ultimate low, he's going to get stuck. So they're going to try and go up, a team's going to build on their head, and they're going to get stuck. So you want to avoid that. And that's exactly what Chap does to this team. So Chap and Jamper start tarping forward now. That team that was ultra low beneath them now gets suffocated under their build. See how they're having to break these builds on the way up? That is not the situation you want to be in. So now they get above the hill, and look, they're back on ultra low. Their layer control right now is perfect. They're up 1 layer, and now they're ultra low. Because the zone doesn't go across any more hills, they can stay on the ground and not have to worry. Remember, you have to identify elevation. If a hill's coming up and you need to go above it, you're going to have to stay up a few layers. You don't want to be on ultra low. But again, there's no hills here. It's going down the hill. Now, this is where they start tarping through. The players are to their right. They have ultra low. So Chap wants to try and get in front of them to control it. So he goes across a few layers because he doesn't want to go straight on top of their edits because that's their cone. Keeps coming out and then claims as much real estate as he needs. Zone pulls across. And again, because they're ultra low, they can now keep prioritizing front side. He gets a player in his box. Has to keep going through. Boxes the same player again. And this is what I want to talk about. This is a mistake that Chap unfortunately makes. He boxed the same player twice. He uses a crash pad to get out of the box. And then he's just stuck in a terrible position. But This is where Chap makes the mistake, but Jamper doesn't. What Jamper did was he broke down to the right, he got back to ultra low, and now look how good of a position Jamper's in. I know this might not look like an insanely good endgame, but for a duo to now in this stacked of a game still be in this position where Jamper, because he's now got low ground control, can clutch this game back up and get back into it is huge. There's so many things to learn about how to play low ground and getting in front of teams in those situations so they can't stay beneath you. Now, Jamper has to solo clutch this one, but you'll notice the first thing he's trying to do is go back down to that low ground position. In Fortnite, in Chapter 2, Season 4, the Doom's Mythics are so obnoxiously strong on high ground that they can constantly keep focusing you. So low ground is one of the best positions to be in because you're the furthest from height you can possibly be. You have full low ground control, but then if you get to an end game and you have a few shockwaves free, you can then use those shockwaves to easily take height. There is next to no reason to be second height right now unless you're about to take it. This is the same reason why AV, Knight, and Rogue Shark's team is doing so ridiculously well in their games because they're consistently playing low ground insanely strong. The other thing you guys told me you'd like to see me do more on my channel is break down mistakes and teach you how you can do things to avoid where the pros went wrong. So we're going to break down exactly what happened here in Chap's situation so that A, you can avoid it happening from you, and also B, once you're in that situation, how you can get out of it a little bit cleaner. So as you see, this is where things started to go wrong. They start tarping across, and what Chap starts to do here once zone shows, he puts a lot of floors. He doesn't put any walls, so this team can run down straight into his build. If he went to the right and put a floor, he would have blocked off this low ground layer, and this team would have had to have gone above him. So first off, gets inside the box. He has all the edits here. Now, Chap realizes he has the edits, realizes the player's not there, so that's fine. He keeps trying to push forward, and that's where he runs into this player again. There's a different player. Now, in this situation, Chap has all the edits except for the stair, and he's worried that this player is going to edit the stair and then shotgun him. Chap's on 149 health. He's pretty healthy, especially endgame. He could have stood here, confidently waited to see what the player was going to do, held the shotgun angle, and that player would have then left, broken out, or just pretty much not tried to fight him, which is what is about to happen. You see the player turn and start to pickaxe the wall. That player had no intention of fighting Chap. Also though, Chap had the floor edit. He could have easily dropped out of the floor, stayed ultra low ground, and then he would have been with Jamper like you saw later on where Jamper was ultra low. Instead, he uses the crash pad, which is usually a last ditch effort because all it does is just break you through builds and you have no idea where you go. He now ends up in this player's box, misses the shot, gets in another player's box and gets stuck again because someone has the edit above. He crash pads back through all the congestion. Honestly, it's a super unlucky situation to be in, and there's not a lot you could do to avoid it other than trying to put up those walls. And again, with hindsight, it's always easy to say what you could have done. But when you're in that situation and a player's on top of your head, try not to panic. If you're behind their stair edit, you have the advantage. You can shoot first if they edit on you. And if they don't shoot first, you need to edit out rather than trying to use crash pads endgame just to break through, as it's just going down to luck of where you end up. So that does it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit different of a style. Again, it wasn't the most ridiculous endgame ever, but some of the things there with how Chap's team is playing low ground is ridiculous. Identifying when to take low ground, how to layer control up a little bit for elevation, and then how to cut off teams so you keep control of low ground. If they did what they normally did, which was get to front side that 2 seconds earlier and block that team off, I have no doubt in my mind they would have won this game. So if you liked the video, please chuck a like on it. If you like the different type of style, let me know in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.